In light of recent school tragedy, what are your recommendations on school safety going forward? And Terry, do you want to start with that?
Sure. I was very glad to see at Parkdale, for those of you who are not familiar with Parkdale, there are two entrances to Parkdale, one in the old kindergarten wing and one in the new entrance. And it used to be that you could enter either way, either door. And in the spring and in the late fall, early fall, the doors for both would be opened. And I was very happy to see, after what unfortunately happened in Newtown, that the old kindergarten wing, those doors are now shut from 9 a.m. until the very end of the day. So that's one way that I think we have improved. I think a lot of the other districts in the area have the cameras. A lot of them have the card pass system. Whether we get to that or not, I'm not sure. I know all of that is extremely expensive. I would like to see if we could look into a company that perhaps would be willing to use East Aurora as their guinea pig in a sense, to see if they could come in and look at our schools and put in whatever security system we feel together is necessary to maintain the safety of our children. And if they do that, then perhaps they could give it to us at cost, or somehow make it a little more feasible for us to afford. But I think security is extremely important. I do realize that the middle school has a lot more security issues than Parkdale does. I'm not as familiar with the high school, seeing I do not have a high schooler. But it is something that I think all parents are concerned about, and I don't think it's something that parents would be unwilling to pay for in a budget, because I think it's that important. Everyone wants to send their child to school knowing that their child is going to come home from school.
Judy?
I think this is a big issue. I was fire marshal for most of my tenure in East Aurora, and after every event happened, like Columbine and some of the horrific things that have happened over the years, we would debrief. We'd get together on the safety committee and we'd debrief, and we'd say, okay, what have we got that's working? What do we need to look at? Is there something new that we should be putting in place? And I think that I've thought for years, I feel so sorry for the gal sitting downstairs here that's our greeter, because we don't even have a buzzing system. That seems like an easy fix. I don't know, my daughter went to private high school and public grade school, and at that point, years ago, they had a buzzing system. I just kind of wonder if that's not something we could do. I look at the baby monitor of my baby grandson, and I can just kind of glance at the camera and see what he's doing in bed. I don't think that would be that expensive to think about. That's something we need to consider. Then that's something that could be used in every one of the schools. But if you look at Newtown, they had a busing system. We have resource officers. They can't be everywhere. We have 3 campuses. They had armed guards in Columbine, and how did that work out? We need to sit back and say what can be done. I like Terry's idea of maybe there's some way we could become a test option for a security company. That's a big possibility. But I think we need to look at a busing system, for one thing. I think we need to look at, I don't know, perhaps bulletproof glass by the doors. I used to think when I did cafeteria duty that it made me very nervous with all the glass by those kids in the middle school, because I thought, gee, we do live in a community where almost anything could happen. Nobody is immune, and I think we need to remember that, and I do think it's something that ought to be considered further. I'm sure it has been. Maybe that's a good place for a public forum.
I would have to say all the things that these guys have said is very true. And it's actually a moment for me right now. It's stunning to sit here. And, you know, in many ways, East Aurora is a lot like Sandy Hook. I mean, we're a very nice community that everybody thinks of as America. And, you know, they go in and they shoot 20 kids, and, you know, they had a bulletproof glass or whatever, and it was locked, and the guy shot his way into the school, and in Columbine, they had armed guards, and it still didn't stop these people. I mean, it's just, you know, and what strikes me is here we are running for school board, And we're talking about arming our schools, gating them, closing them up, making them fortresses. And it's, at the same time, sickening to see, our federal government do nothing to help us. It's just, and now it's like this is sailing right now. Okay, as we sit here and we grapple with kids' safety in this, and you look at the federal government, and they don't want to do even the first little thing to help this situation out. And I can't really act. I mean, what do we do? We start closing these schools up, and at the same time, you're almost like that's what you have to do. You have to do. You're indebted to do everything that you can do to prevent these things from happening. And it's sad that it's just being thrust down to the local level to deal with it with no support from the federal government. And like I said, just sitting here has become incredibly salient. This whole issue, and you watch it on TV, and it doesn't really hit you until you're sitting here and you have to answer the question. And you realize now it's up to the local taxpayers to try and fix the